Today, I want us to talk about how the patriarchy does not just hurt women, but also hurts men.
The patriarchy killed my father, and it's probably going to kill yours too. My dad passed away around 3 years ago, and he died alone. And simply due to the fact that he was too ashamed to ask for help. He was too deep into the patriarchy to ever imagine not following his gender role. My dad was a very proud man. He was someone who held himself in high esteem regardless of his ability to actually live up to those expectations of himself. And up until he passed, he had never really been vulnerable with me or with my mum or anyone really. I'd never seen him cry. I'd never seen him really show much emotion. And I definitely had never experienced him being down to earth or open. And it wasn't until I was much older that I realized he was deeply ashamed of himself. He was a Nigerian man who had come to the UK and had actually done pretty well for himself at one point. He was doing pretty well, and then things changed and he was no longer doing well. And he didn't know what to do with himself if he wasn't able to provide. You see, his gender role as a man was to provide, was to make the money. And since he wasn't able to do that, he checked out. He believed that if I can't provide, then I don't have a role here. And this caused him to become a shell of himself. He would stay in his room for weeks on end, watching films, speaking on the phone, distracting himself. And it was because he didn't know what to do with himself. He didn't know that he could do something else, that he could, help the family in ways that weren't just financial. And this is exactly what he was taught to do. As a man, you're taught to chase wealth, chase status, chase the approval of others, chase money. But does this actually fulfill you? Have you actually met someone who obtained these things and actually asked if they feel complete? But the patriarchy lies to men, and it tells us that we will find fulfillment, we will find meaning in these meaningless things. The reality is we find meaning in our community, in our relationship with each other. So how can you avoid ending up like my dad, dying alone or surrounded by possessions? Well, you change the way that you live. You change the things that you care about. You actually ask yourself, do I actually care about the things that I've been told to care about? Do I really care about impressing other men? Do I really care about acquiring wealth and status so I can feel better about myself? Is this what I want my life to be surrounded by, just chasing things? And then question, like, the things I've been taught about myself, the things I've been taught about women, are these things true, or do they just make it easier for me to go about my life? Like, is it easier for me to just not question things? And if so, why? Who benefits from this? As men, it's our duty to ask ourselves the big questions, really delve into why we believe the things we do, and if it really benefits us and society as a whole. So speak up. Be okay being open and vulnerable. Accept the fact that you don't have to know everything. Accept that sometimes women are going to know better than you, and that's okay. It's not embarrassing. It's not embarrassing to need help. It's not embarrassing to not know something. You are a man, but you are a human first.
The patriarchy literally means the role of a father, and this describes a social system where men hold primary power across political leadership, moral authority, property, and social privilege. And this transcends centuries. So of course, it's an imbalanced system. And like every other imbalanced system, it benefits some and ignores some, which naturally goes against the natural order of things. Now, we see these biases in global gender roles, societal double standards, the violence against women, and the fact that men do not have laws that govern their bodies. Just women in a lot of countries. So these are all products of the patriarchy. But here's the thing, patriarchy does not just hurt women. It also hurts men, as it teaches men to suppress their emotions, suppress their feelings, to not show weakness, the inability of men to ask for help. It all stems from the ideology that femininity is considered weak, inferior, lesser.
Boys are discouraged from this level of emotional intimacy in their friendships with other boys because there is a fear of being perceived as gay. Can you relate to that at all?
Oh, yeah. Because, when I was in middle school and high school, you did not want to be perceived that way because that was something that would make you targeted. I don't want to be perceived that way. It would make my life a lot harder if I was.
I wonder, do you truly think it was homophobia, or do you think that it was more femophobia, meaning that it was this view of being feminine?
Are you asking me?
I'm not asking what their motivation was. I'm asking what your motivation was to hide.
I don't want to be bullied.
I know, and you perceived that if I display what, then I will be.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, it is definitely more feminine characteristics. It's not like my checking out a guy or something. It's no, I don't want to show too strong of emotions that are, not anger or excitement or something like that. I don't, I shouldn't like walk a certain way or talk a certain way or dress a certain way because I'm going to be perceived as, it's all feminine stuff.
From a young age, boys are told you throw like a girl, you run like a girl. As a man, you're supposed to toughen up, you're supposed to be strong like a man. So these so-called societal standards, these rigid standards that have been set for men by the patriarchy has made a lot of men be a shadow of themselves, not be able to ask for help, not be in tune with their emotions. The products is what we're seeing in our society. Men that are scared to ask for help, are scared to be vulnerable. We see men trying to reach an unattainable standard, which was placed for them by society. And when they fail to reach these standards, it builds into depression. That's when the zest for life leaves and they would still not be able to ask for help.
The patriarchy affects men negatively also. I just saw this boy on here talking about when he would put himself in queer or gay spaces. The reason why he stopped putting himself in those spaces is because gay boys would come up to him, or gay men, he seemed like younger, so that's why I keep saying boys, but they would come up to him and they would tell him, you need to stop expecting to get the same kind of love back from men that men give to women. And he was like, why should I not get the same level of love that a woman gets because I don't have a uterus and I can't bear children? Like, why is that the thing that's determining whether or not I can receive love? And that statement from those people is a result of the patriarchy. Like, that statement's not even true. To sit here and say that a man can't get the same level of love from another man because he doesn't have a uterus and can't bear children is programming from the patriarchy. Like, that's not a true statement at all. And also is based off of an illusion that's been fed to them that if you are a man and you get with a woman and you have a child, then you're living a happily ever after and you're living a happy life and you're receiving the love that you deserve. When in reality, women don't even feel that way. A lot of women in straight relationships or who are dating men will tell you that it's not all roses and flowers and sunshine. It's crazy, actually. Like, men are crazy and they do very horrible things, and our uterus is not protecting us, nor is it earning us love, like some apparently gay boys think. But regardless, that is something that the patriarchy has told them, and they're passing this on to him, and now he's internalizing this and growing resentment towards women and straight relationships and heterosexual people in general, when in reality, this is a lie that the patriarchy has sold you guys. And in general, we all are feeling this way. The patriarchy tells women that they're small. It also tells men who like men and who date men that they are small, and that they are less deserving of love. It tells men that they're not allowed to be sensitive and emotional and loving and caring and cared for in a relationship or with others or with themselves or with their friends. And that's why so many men are experiencing a male loneliness epidemic. It's because of the patriarchy. And so many men don't get this and aren't talking about this and aren't acknowledging this, that when women say, the patriarchy is harming us, it's not us saying all men are trash. Yes, a lot of men are trash, but it's the patriarchy that makes them that way. Yes, people have choice and free will, but the patriarchy is responsible for programming us to be this way, and it affects everyone.
Now, the last statement she said is fact and can be proven. People tend to blow their emotions beyond proportion when it's suppressed over time. This is what causes depression. This is what causes a lot of men to be irrational, very irritable. And there's this obsession that the average man has with not looking gay, not being perceived as gay by other men. Why? Because of course it's shameful. They've been taught that it's shameful, that femininity means weakness. So anything that represents femininity, anything that makes them look weak. They have an obsession with tearing it down. And this is why anything that makes them look gay, they will do their very best to counter it. They will do their very best to prove themselves. They'll do their very best to prove their masculinity. So this obsession with not looking gay has made a lot of men shrink themselves and even settle for loneliness. But the reality of it all is both men and women, we are all capable of emotions, of expressing our emotions. We are capable of having deep and real emotional connections. And once you shrink yourself to not feel those things and you don't tap into that part of you, it builds up into disaster. And I remember one time my elder brother, he's very obsessed with upholding this masculinity. And I remember him telling me when I was way younger that by the books of masculinity, two men are not supposed to use one umbrella. It's feminine for two men to use one umbrella. And I don't know, since then, it's been years, but that has stuck with me because I remember being very shocked. So we hold men to these rigid standards that a lot of them cannot even reach. And that's why we have depressed men. Some shrink themselves, some live very bitter lives, some are very hostile toward women. Some are angry because you can't tell me that a man that is hostile toward other people, you can't tell me that such a man is healthy and happy in his life. So these are the issues. And the truth is the patriarchy hurts both men and women. It hurts men more than we admit.
One of the great tricks of the patriarchy was to make men hate femininity. And so Dr. Williams study, I'm a clinical psychologist, and so the patriarchy is often viewed as this thing that's pro-men and anti-women, but really it's harmful to everyone. And so let me talk about why. So patriarchy made us think that things that have been societally viewed as feminine are bad and negative things. So then to participate in those things means you are bad or there's something negative occurring, and it's used as a tool of control, right? Because a lot of things like care and teaching and thoughtfulness and education and seeking higher education, more learning, assuming you don't know things from the beginning, those have been turned into like feminine qualities from a societal lens. And because of that, men to seek those things out are viewed in a negative light. And so they won't do it. And so then when they won't do it, they're not changing, they're not growing, they're not developing, which makes them easier to control from the context of a societal lens through the patriarchy. And the patriarchy, above anything, is a tool of control, right? So these kind of systems are built up to make men hate women, hate femininity, and then anything that represents that is then negative or bad and needs to be stopped, or harm needs to come to it because it is against what we are taught is something that's supposed to be upheld. And so those kind of systems continually ingrain themselves, and that's how we see these cycles of harm and violence to men and women alike.
You cannot convince the modern man that he has privilege because of how deeply miserable he is. The very idea feels ridiculous to him, because his ability to emotionally connect to his surroundings is broken by patriarchal hazing, which leaves him to numb his loneliness with indulgence and vice. This indulgence turns quickly into addiction. Addiction to substances, video games, digital media, physical intimacy, work, money, and power. He begins to engage with these addictions instead of experiencing social connection and reward, which divorces him from his neurological capability to do so. This is the male loneliness epidemic. It is entirely centered around addiction.
And in case some of us may not understand the impact of this on men, who are the people that do more crime? Of course, men. When it comes to violence, which gender is more violent? And these are all emotional responses to a man who has been socialized to suppress his emotions, to not cry, to not be able to seek for help and acknowledge that they don't know stuff, that a woman knows better, that a woman is more intelligent or more knowledgeable in a field. Some men would not agree that they need help, that they need therapy, because, of course, according to the patriarchy, those are seen as weak traits. You're perceived as weak when you seek for help.
Here's how patriarchy controls and harms men. You may hear that patriarchy privileges men, and that makes you feel upset and frustrated because you're unhappy. That's because while you do get some privileges, the patriarchy is a system that is constantly attacking your masculinity. You are not allowed to do anything except be angry and work. Going to coffee shops is for girls. Using soap makes you gay. Anything but NASCAR sports and Marvel and Star Wars are for chicks. Buying clothes is gay. Being attractive to women is gay. Having a little sweet treat is for pussies. You are not allowed to do anything without feeling a hit to your masculinity. And that constant low-grade antagonism, those relentless attacks erode your self-esteem, make you insecure, and make you vulnerable to your own frustration.
Men are victims of a patriarchy too, and I don't think they understand just to what extent they are victims of the patriarchy. The patriarchy really affects us all. I've come to the conclusion and to an awakening of, this patriarchy thing is not all bad. You see how happy I am now? I'm so happy right now when I realize how bad the patriarchy is and how much of my personality as a man revolved around being a patriarch. I never used to smile, but that's not the case. I digress. Men don't understand that they're victims of the patriarchy. The same patriarchy taught them that they are sexual beings and women are not sexual beings. The patriarchy told men that women are not sexual beings. You need a woman that is pure, a woman who sleeps around, quote unquote, is very bad. You need a woman who's pure, does not know anything, so you can teach them everything. And the very same patriarchy taught men that, hey, you don't want a woman who sleeps like a chicken in bed. You don't want a woman who's like a chicken in bed. But then how are those two supposed to be coexisting? How do these two things coexist in your world? How is a woman experienced in bed at the same time she is pure? Then they don't understand. The very same men who say they want women to be pure are the very same women who are making fun of women for being chickens and who will go outside and cheat for more exciting coitus, So that's the issue that men don't understand.
Over the last few months, there's been this one quote that I just can't get over, and it's from the incredible and inspiring Bell Hooks, and it goes like this. The first act of violence patriarchy demands of males is not violence towards women. Instead, patriarchy demands of all males that they engage in acts of psychic self-mutilation, that they kill off the emotional parts of themselves. And what I can't stop thinking about is all the bullying I witnessed and personally experienced from other males when I was younger. All of it, every single thing that was said that I can remember, boiled down to an attack on anything perceived as weak, emotional, feminine, sensitive, or non-cis hetero behavior. And in these circles, I was exposed to a masterclass of cutting off emotions, because to react would only bring on more bullying. From experience and from my work, I now know this is something almost all men experience, either directly or around them. And I'm recording this video to make sure you know it too. That if you are a guy who is sensitive, intuitive, creative, in other words, a whole human, with masculine parts, feminine parts, and parts that don't fit into those categories at all, in a patriarchal society, that made you a target.
Now, from a logical point of view, anytime we say things like, women are more naturally compassionate, women are better cooks, are better at homemaking, or men are naturally providers, men are naturally protectors. When we make statements like this, we are reinforcing the patriarchy. Theoretically, every gender and every person has been socialized to think a certain way. A lot of us are not aware that we've been socialized to think the way we think. From a young age, girls are given the so-called feminine things, girly things to play with, given dolls to play with, while the boys are given guns to play with. Now, what does that teach a young child with a little brain? So these are the subtle ways that we've all been socialized to think the way we think. This is why a girl would grow up and she would feel like she owes everyone compassion. She has to take care of everyone, and she would feel responsible for the people around her, for her kids, for her family members, for her man. Whereas the man would feel like he needs to fight, he needs to stand up for the woman and all of that. Now, I don't think we were created biologically to have more or less of some emotions. So, I think it's a social construct that is all linked to the patriarchy. That's why more and more men are scared of being vulnerable. Men are scared of showing emotions. They suppress their emotions. Like you would see a man and a woman having a verbal altercation, and instead of trying to hear both sides to sort whatever issue, people shame the man for expressing his emotions, for arguing with a woman. That alone is seen as weakness. A man is not supposed to express himself. He's not supposed to show his emotions, that he's emotional. He's not supposed to express how he feels. So these are the issues.
If you're a man, the patriarchy has also fucked you over, and I'm gonna prove it. Example number 1. Did you have a super emotionally unavailable father? Growing up, were you physically or psychologically bullied by other boys who accused you of being too feminine, too weak, too thin, or gay? Did that bullying impact your mental health in the long term? Do you find it really difficult to date and understand what women are thinking? Well, that's because you were never taught to perceive anybody else's perspective. Did you have big dreams of becoming an artist, like a musician or a painter or something, and then your parents were like, men go into business? When you hang out with your male friends, are you guys allowed to open up to each other? Do you feel comfortable being vulnerable around other men, or would you rather retreat into yourself and just pretend like it's not happening? Has your emotional suppression ever caused you to have a massive crash out or get crazy physical ailments? Do you ever feel like your life is pointless unless you have a hot girlfriend? Or are making a lot of money and fucking hot girls? Do you have really bad self-esteem issues when one of the two of those things doesn't work out? I'm obsessed with social science, and pretty much every social scientist will tell you that the secret to happiness is strong, loving connections with other people. And the patriarchy has absolutely handicapped you guys from achieving those. As a kid, were you reprimanded for crying or expressing emotion? Crying actually makes you feel a ton better because every tear has cortisol in it, so you're literally releasing stress when you cry. Do you have difficulty identifying your own needs and the needs of others? Do you ever feel completely disassociated from your own body because you refuse to sit in any discomfort? Basically, the patriarchy has taught men that in order to be a man, you have to kind of strip yourself of your humanity and do anything to not be a woman, which means not being nurturing, not being warm, or empathetic, or thinking about the community, just like being really headstrong and being individualistic, but that stuff makes people depressed. I don't think men are inherently bad. I think that men are just as beautiful humans as women are. We bang into their heads to be terrible people. And you guys need to realize that, men, because women can't fight the patriarchy on our own. Your life could be so much better. Look how many friends girls have. I think like 1 in 8 American men doesn't have any friends at all.
So last night, my partner and a few of our colleagues were having a very in-depth conversation about what patriarchy has obviously done to women, but what's it done to men, and how that affects men who truly want to be a better man on this planet.
It's fucked us, basically. It's trapping us at a very low level of consciousness, because when we run these programs that make us feel good, that make us feel better and superior, and this is largely unconscious. We have no idea we even carry this energy, because why would we ever look at that? Why would we ever look at, the fact that things are easier for us as men in this world? How would we ever know that? How would we ever know how hard it is to be a woman in this world, this patriarchal world, when we're a man and everything comes to us easy? The programs of entitlement, of superiority, that get created, of misogyny, of objectification, of lust. Why would we ever leave the comfort zone of how good we feel as a superior being, which is obviously completely absurd, and come down to a level that makes us feel inferior?
It's so sad that a lot of men do not get to experience friendship, loving friendships, being vulnerable with your friends, having bromance with your male friends, and not feeling guilty or feeling some sort of shame about it. It's so sad that they don't get to enjoy these privileges, because for us women, like, this is like our bread and butter. This is very common amongst women. So, but like, it's sad that they have to suppress it because of some high standards that they have to uphold. And it's so crazy because most women I know, like healed women, most of us prefer the soft men that are not scared of showing emotion. I mean, because those are the men that I can feel safe around. Men that are in tune with their emotions, men that are not scared to express themselves. Like, for me, one of the sexiest things a man can do is cry. I'm not saying fake tears, but be vulnerable and express himself and not be ashamed. It shows that you're human, because that's what human connection is all about. That's what I think, and that's how I feel, honestly. I don't know what y'all think. Leave your comments down below in the comments section. So yeah, like, I hope from these few points of mine and from these clips, we have come to realize that the patriarchy, it does not just hurt women, but it also hurts men. We've come to the end of this video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. I would love to hear what y'all think about this topic. And don't forget to like this video if you found it educating or insightful in any way. Thank you all for watching. I remain your girl Joy, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Have a blessed day.